This conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
We're ready to go?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I call the meeting to order for the Evergreen Cemetery Committee Special Session Meeting. Wednesday, March 10, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. Okay. Roll call. Audrey Lucci Giacomino, that's me. I'm here. Charlene Snooty Borowick. Grace Higgins.
And
Wow, scared me. Oh, let's see. Tony Giacomino, council member. And Jesus Faro.
I'm here.
Here. And we have Freeport McMorran Representative Terry Maddox.
Does not look like he's here.
The following is to be. I'm
I
sorry.
don't think you got me. Linda Halstead.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I
Right
didn't
there.
say.
I'm
Okay.
Mark.
I'm here.
Oh, you. Okay, can I go now, you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Discussion and possible approval of foundation grant and cemetery project.
So can I share what I sent out just kind of as a draft, or is that inappropriate because it wasn't attached to the minutes? Because I don't want to share something if I shouldn't to discuss.
Okay.
You're muted.
Because it is agendized.
I can't.
I can't hear you, June.
I think you can still discuss it because it's agendized.
So I can share,
Yeah, you can share the information, yeah.
but not put it on the screen.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Make sure. Okay, I have to ask the organizer to allow me to share.
No, don't.
You can do that.
It wasn't included, you can
It's like,
information. Like, just talk about.
Okay, let me pull it up then, so I can see it. All right, so we chatted a little bit about some of the, I want to say I mean Joni and Linda, and I kind of walked through the cemetery and looked at various things, and I got some feedback in terms of what the committee had been thinking about, and so I just kind of put together a draft of the endowment proposal. The endowment is due April 1st, and the primary pieces that we talked about, kind of including, there's $5,000 currently sitting in the endowment. And so I asked them if there was a format or a form. They said no. So I've just kind of started a narrative about cemeteries and resting places, etc. And then cemetery is this year's project on beautifying the overall appearance, and that it's our goal to install a watering system for the vegetation, purchase some additional trees to enhance the existing landscape, and that we are looking to supplement the public and the private resources, because that's some of the key words that the foundation has in their mission, to seek in-kind services for the pruning of the trees and the planting of the purchased trees. So based on some of the things that Joni and Linda told me about, I've listed for the watering system 4 1,500-gallon water tanks at a cost of about $900 per tank. So that's $3,600 just for the water tanks. And that was kind of a ballpark figure. There were some that were slightly less, and there were some that were a bit more. But that was kind of a ballpark figure per tank. And then I talked about how the tanks could be positioned at the uppermost fence line so as to facilitate the gravity feed of the watering system. And that we'd like to secure 4 rolls, 500 feet each of hose. And the ballpark figure that I believe for those is about $55 per roll for a total of $220. And anytime you write a grant or do some kind of grant proposal, you want to use up all the money that they are offering. So I really talked about a couple of those connectors, but at this point, talk about 8, because they're about $10 a piece. So that's $80, and then we'd like to also purchase 11 trees at a cost of $100 per tree for $1,100, which brought the total project request to $5,000. I looked to see about the river rock jetty, but it's pretty pricey per bag, and we just need to get a clear understanding of how many cubic feet we're going to need. And that maybe we can include that in like phase 2 once we, got this piece together. So that's kind of where I put things at, and I just listed the next phases of the project. We'd like to create footpaths, discuss and seek funding for fence repair, and seek funding for creating repair and construction. So it was pretty simple, just some basic things just to get us started. But like I said, this thing is due, by the first. So, questions, clarification, anything you guys don't like, want me to change?
Any questions or anything for Lisa? Ms. Nudie?
I have a question.
Jody, I can't, if you're talking, Jody, I can't hear you.
I can't hear either.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you were breaking up too, so I don't know what, it might be my phone. But anyway, when the letter's written up to submit, do we need to break it down into the two phases so they understand that? Is that, because I know there's no form,
Yeah, and I think that would be a really good thing is maybe to articulate, because like I said, I just kind of threw it down on paper to give us a talking point. And I think it would be helpful for them to see, okay, right now we're looking at phase 1, and it's the water tanks, it's the hose, it's the connectors, it's some trees. But that doesn't include labor of any kind. So we're going to have to think about how we're going to get the tanks where we need them, how we're going to get the trees planted, how we can do all of those things. I did not, $5,000 just does not really go very far when 3,600 of it is just 4 tanks.
Right.
So I think if we break it down into phases so that phase 1, kind of consumes this $5,000 right now in the foundation, and then phase 2, I think it's what, $2,500 is kind of what we normally put down. Apparently we have a carryover of $2,500 because we get, I don't know, something. But they told me that $5,000 is kind of an accumulation amount, but then typically it's $2,500. So we could look at maybe 2 or 3 phases. So this is phase 1 because we've got a little more money.
Then you're going to have to go without a picture.
You're kind of cutting out a little bit, Lisa.
Just until it runs out.
Type it. Type what I'm saying.
They won't see it.
So we do need to have it broken into 2 separate sections.
Well, they're only going to find the first.
Okay.
They're only going to find phase 1.
And I have to say, in one part of it, when it said that the goal was to install and purchase some additional trees to enhance the existing landscape. I think I would rather have in there to replace dead and diseased trees.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like we're just trying to pretty it up, and we're just trying to get things replaced that have died off.
Right.
That's an easy thing.
Yeah.
So I'll extract that piece out and put to replace dead and diseased trees.
Yeah, so where it says enhance the existing landscaping, I would put to replace dead and diseased trees.
Got it. Okay.
Another information, oh, I'm sorry, Linda, were you not done? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to also add that when we did speak to the tree cutter, he said that he was going to donate his labor and to trim and remove dead trees.
Right.
And that he'd been wanting to do it for years, but he didn't know who to talk to. So at least that part of it sounds like it may be covered.
Mm-hmm.
She said about $45,000 of in-kind service, correct?
Yeah.
What is his company's name?
I didn't hear you.
What is his company name?
High Desert? What's it called?
Enterprises. High Desert.
Mile High
Yeah.
Mile High
Enterprises.
Enterprises. Okay, so I will include that as in-kind services and labor to the dollar amount of 4,500. Are we comfortable with approximately 4,500?
Right.
He said 35 to 45.
Oh, I thought he said up to 5,000. So,
That's what he said. Yeah.
I'd go the high end, Lisa. Seriously, I would go as high. Yeah. One thing I wanted to add, there is money in the budget for the cemetery for the prison labor when they do come back. So I don't know when that's going to be. So that can also, you were talking about, we don't have money for labor, but that down the road, we'll be able to utilize that whenever COVID uplifts.
Let me ask you, because I'm not on this type of grant before. Can the city be listed as somebody who does in-kind services? So like
Of course, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The trees, grass, moving the tent.
Yeah, we can, yeah.
So Jesus, what would you expect the labor for those kinds of things to be? Is it per hour, per project? How does it work?
I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
As a per hour.
Per hour?
Per hour. What we'll do is we'll create a work order to track our time that way, and we submit that, and it's got all of our labor costs and EREs too.
But if the city does it, Jesus, doesn't that come out of our budget then?
Yeah. Well, we have to pay for our labor and salary.
See, that's not in kind.
Yeah. So it'll come out of our budget. Yeah.
So do we allocate a specific amount out of our budget for this? What do you want to do with it?
We don't have to in the grant, but what we can look at too is you can estimate in-kind service as far as volunteer hours, because you can set that at a, I guess minimum 10. What is a minimum? 12 something an hour, and we can do an estimated in-kind volunteer hours for planting, and that can be included.
I have a question. We also discussed maybe having a work day or several, and
we can
I didn't hear.
You're breaking up, Jesus.
I can't.
Sounds like Charlie Brown.
Oh, okay. I was just talking about the. Sounds like Charlie Brown.
Yeah, wah. We can't. Yeah, you keep breaking up. It's like you're losing your internet.
Go ahead, Linda.
We were talking about perhaps advertising and having a work day, asking for volunteers to show up on a Saturday and volunteer for a day, to clean up grounds, rake the place, do a general cleanup to start. Would that count in that heading?
Are you asking me?
We could.
You can use that as in-kind service, yes.
Okay.
Anything volunteer, any work.
Yeah.
Like when with LEAP, when my instructors volunteered and taught classes, that was in-kind service.
When
Okay.
when I had the kids from Bisbee come down, they gave up their time to come and clean up the cemetery, just like you're talking about.
And so
And
you just keep,
good
you
job.
keep track of how many people show up and sort of
I
how
have-
many hours?
I had a list. They had to sign in and I put the
Okay.
time on a list to sign out.
Right, that's what I want to know.
Put the hours that way. We'll have to sit down and have to try to remember what I did because it's been a few years ago.
Yeah, I guess we were just going to throw out what we discussed and let you guys just, help us or help with keeping track of it and what we should do.
Okay.
Because we also talked about having maybe friends of the cemetery, that would donate money or
Yeah.
a tree or a
It's like
bench.
adopt a tree like they did.
Yeah, or, ship us a bag of cement or something, something.
Right. We'll take anything.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Number 2. Item number 2 is discussion on Dean Cartwright. Joni?
I can't remember who told me, but they talked to Sandy Valle, and Sandy Valle said that whenever Dugan sold plots, that they were sold as double deep, so that any plots that were serviced through Dugan's Funeral Chapel were double deep. So like I said, I haven't had a chance to contact Sandy, and I was going to try to get a hold of her and verify that. Because, yeah.
My mom spoke with her and she confirmed that there were many people.
That's who it was. It was your mom. I couldn't remember. Thank you. Yeah. So I think we need to get some kind of written statement for the city, because she was the main proprietor of plots for Dugan's Funeral Chapel, which would then alleviate one of the issues that Cartwrights are having, because the plots that they bought back in the early years were sold to him under the assumption of double deep, and now they're not. So he's short plots, because when they bought those plots, they bought them for 2 people, and they're not going to have enough plots to put all their family together. So, I mean, he's willing to swap them out for other plots, so they can get everybody together. But my assumption is we need to make some kind of suggestion to alleviate. That's one of many problems that are going to be coming up, because anybody that bought plots prior to 90 are going to be from Dugan are going to be double deep. Yeah.
Prior to 1990? Yeah, I guess it's
yeah.
1990.
So is it in the city minutes that decision was changed? Because I'm just guessing here. I'm a newbie, but I would think if it was agreed upon and voted in by the council, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but if it was agreed upon and voted on by the council that these double deep graves were acceptable, and people purchased those, and the mortuaries were in fact implementing that, as Sandy has said, I think it's a problem if we don't do that.
Right. Jesus will have to explain yeah.
Yes, let me answer that. So in our code, it does say that we do offer double deep plots. The issue with Mr. Cartwright is we don't sell the services until you actually need burial services. So it's very confusing to us how he purchased a double deep plot, because we don't sell the service up front. We only sell the plot. Now, the double deep right now, we are unable to do a double deep because we don't have the shoring. And I mentioned that before. I have looked at it. I do plan on trying to put that in our budget for the cemetery for our next budget year, so that we can return to offer those double deep plots. Now, it says in our code that we can only do double deep plots if the soil is allowable. I mean, the cemetery is built on the side of a mountain, So it's not always, we can't always do it because it's rock. And we can't do it if we can't get our backhoe back there. There are a couple of things that are involved in there, but we do offer that service still. It's just we need to meet OSHA requirements. We need to purchase those, the shoring for those. So again, going back to Mr. Cartwright, it's confusing. We don't have any documentation that he was sold the double deep service. We only have documentation that he purchased plots.
That's why I think it's imperative that we get something from Sandy, because she was stating that when they sold the plots, they sold them as double deep. And that was just the understanding.
They sold the plot and the service.
No, they sold the service. And that's the thing. That's why I'm saying we need to get a letter from her clarifying that, because when people were buying them from Dugan's, they were buying them under the, I guess, title of a double deep plot, not a single deep. Those people that didn't want double deep were buying side by sides. And I think this is what's one of the major confusions, because when Dugan's was selling plots, that was the assumption that was happening, and it wasn't necessarily documented in that sense. So,
And how can that be legal? How can they sell a service that they aren't providing and they're saying the city's going to provide it?
Exactly.
That's a good question. But again, at the time, it was being offered. And so when they sold these plots, they sold it as, you can go ahead and go down double deep.
Well,
so
like Jesus says, the shoring, that sounds to me like you would have to purchase a vault.
It's it's just shoring for us to dig down deeper than 6 feet. It's an OSHA requirement, just like if we were going to do trenching for a sewer line that was deeper than 6 feet. Technically, we don't have a lot that are that deep. But if we have a person going down there, which in this case we most likely will have to, that's where you need the shoring. If we're doing it just by machine and we don't have to have anybody within the trench, or in this case the hole, we wouldn't need the shoring, but we do.
So I have a question, Jesus. What does it cost for that shoring?
I looked up, it's about $4,000.
Okay.
Or
4,000. Right, 4,000. Did you say?
And that's per plot?
No, that's just for the shoring. That's
one
we're done with the.
That's one that's a double? All right.
That would be the equipment needed for shoring, Linda. Yeah, it's an initial purchase of $4,000 to buy the shoring bracing to hold the dirt back so it doesn't collapse on the person digging. That's one of the issues, that the side-by-side grade will collapse in. So they have to put like metal walls up, because, and when you dig a trench, trenches have a tendency to collapse on you. Been there, done that. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, I think it still needs to be clarified. I think we need to talk to Sandy and find out exactly what the practice was, because it's coming to a point now where a lot of people that bought plots in that period of time are now passing away.
And we need to find that backup.
Right. And instead of having the headache and the bad PR for the city, we need to get it clarified.
Yeah. Okay. Are we ready to move on?
Well, again, I do have a question as far as, Cartwright goes, because he's in this dilemma where they bought one plot to put two people in, so they're not going to be able to put all their family together. Hypothetically speaking, if it's, I don't know how to say it, provable, or if there's evidence to support the fact that, yes, that's what happened, how will the city be able to deal with that? Is the city going to be willing to swap out plots so that they can have their side-by-sides if you're not going to go double deep? Or are we going to alleviate the double deep by, okay, go ahead. Sorry, Susan.
We have done that in the past. So
okay,
go
ahead. Okay.
Purchase that. We physically can't do it, we will do our best to accommodate them by providing them additional plots for the side by side.
Okay, so I have a question now. Us being willing to provide them with something is not the same thing as them being willing to accept it.
Right.
And I think, Jody, I think you were spot on with we have to get clarification about are we legally bound if we sold him, if the city sold him, and the understanding based on the statement we get from Sandy or whoever that they were under the impression they were doing double deep grades, whether we can facilitate that or not is not their problem. That is our problem. And if they're willing to trade out, that's one thing. That's great. If the Cartwrights or whoever wants to do that, that's great. But I mean, playing devil's advocate here, if they don't want to do that, that's the city's problem. That's not their problem because they thought in good faith, thinking that it was going to be a double deep grade. Now, if they're willing to trade out, good. You know, that's what the solution is. But at the end of the day, if it's proven that it was sold in good faith and this is their understanding and they don't want to do it, I think we need to think about that too.
Right. Jesus, or is it possible that you put that bracing or whatever you just said, I forget what it was called.
Shoring.
Shoring. Thank you. On the next budget, because I'll be more than happy to back you up when you have to justify, what you're wanting to get.
I do have that on the request now. I've gone through the cemetery and I did that, so yes, it is there.
Okay, because I think that's a very important thing at this point, because like I said, we're hitting a wave of elderly people that are going to, unfortunately, that are passing away now, and all they have is that single plot, many families, because of that understanding back in the early 80s and 90s, or even in the 70s when those plots were bought. So
we've got to find that paperwork, I think.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, you've got to be able to back it up, just like the ones out at Memory Gardens. They're supposed to be perpetual care. They're up the creek because the guy took off with the money.
Right.
What are you going to do?
Okay, can we go on to the next item?
Yeah, that was actually 2 and 3. We actually did 2 and 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Item 4, discussion and possible approval to lower reeds on west fence. Those bamboo need to be cut clear to the ground. They need to come out of there. Some family is driving up that street and the window's down and a kid hangs his head out and one of those limbs gets in his eye, it's going to slice his eyeball open. Those things are sharp. I want those reeds cut to the ground. I have had asked and asked and asked. And they're just, oh boy, they're growing. How about it, Bruce?
Yes, absolutely, we can do that. This isn't something that even needs to be voted on. This is simply we'll create a work order and have it done. When you all have any kind of issues similar to this, give us a call. Give Lorena a call. She can put in a work order. So in this case, yes, we can do that. And I discussed this with Lorena. This item will be created as a work order and it'll be done.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, yeah.
So we talked about getting a statement from Sandy, and we talked about doing this work order for this particular action step. Where we say so-and-so is going to get the statement from Sandy, so-and-so is going to do the work order. Do we do that as a committee?
I cannot understand you.
I did, Lisa. I'll repeat for you. Mom, what she's saying is that we need to do a motion on contacting Sandy Valle, having somebody contact Sandy Valle for clarification on the past purchases of graves. And we need to vote on that, right, Lisa?
Yes. Yes. Do we do that?
No, that's not a voting item. You can't.
Oh, it's not?
You can't. It's just a discussion. So we can't vote on it. I mean,
okay.
We can do that. We can do that.
Okay.
It's not a voting item.
Oh, okay, yeah, it just says clarification. Okay, I see it now. Sorry, Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Lisa?
How do we make sure that what we talk about gets done? Like, you know, so like, I understand that draft something up for the proposal for the endowment, but who's going to get the thing from Sandy? Do we do that as a committee, like an action item? So you know, it just doesn't, you know, if I assume somebody else is doing it, you assume somebody else is doing it. How do we do that as a committee?
I suppose somebody could do that. You can't vote on it because it's not
Right.
it wasn't put onto the agenda that way. If somebody wants to volunteer to do that, you can do that.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Then go on the other computer. They just can't see you.
You can't see him, I can't hear him.
you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to talk slower. Maybe that will help. So can we ask, like, who's gonna get in touch with Sandy and get the statement? Can we ask that? Should I volunteer my mom? She's not here.
Sure. You can ask anyone.
Jesus, is that a motion?
Or does someone just volunteer to do it and then they have to answer to us at the next meeting? Jesus.
You can do that. Somebody can just volunteer. Not during the video though. I mean, not during this meeting.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Oh.
that was my-
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Where was I on item 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My the computer died, so my mom's on my line.
Okay.
Call it as well.
Okay. And it was, I've asked for those reeds to be cut.
That what
for
they did
bamboo.
that. You're here.
We got that.
So, okay, we will get that done. I've got to mark it. Discussion number 5, discussion and possible approval on what the budget is primarily used for.
That's great.
In case Wiggins.
Awesome.
Didn't we discuss that already? Didn't we go through it the last meeting that we had?
I thought we did, but that's what Lorena put on the agenda.
I didn't put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty well a done deal there.
Okay, all right. We'll move on to item 6. Discussion and possible approval of having more runs for sanitation. Those garbage cans have been overflowing down there. And I'd like to have your opinion on it.
Back in a little bit.
Yeah, that's a question.
Okay, I'll call you back in about half an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
May I ask a question?
Lisa's waving. Address Lisa.
What?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
So with the reeds, with the cutting of the reeds, and with the trash, is that just we request through a work order that those things be done and they should be done?
Yes, it calls for a work order.
Okay. So have we filled out work orders for these things?
No, so wait. Probably not.
No, I put in for them, but
So
So, Jesus, what do they need to do in order to fill out
I'm
work
here.
orders? Yeah. What do they have to do to fill out work orders to have that done? Oh.
There are 3 ways to do it. Just call.
You're breaking up.
No, we don't have you.
Yeah.
So it would be my thought that if we
Call
have
the office, and Lorena can input that for you. You can do it online at our website. On our website, you can report concern.
talking about the reeds.
Breaking up. Okay, hang on a second.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay,
contact Lorena or go online. So
Yeah.
You can fill that out.
okay. All right, we'll go on to number 6. Discussion and possible approval of having more runs for sanitation.
that goes
Oh,
up there.
that goes in there too. Okay. Okay. I want a discussion and possible approval on repairing holes in all the roads. There's the holes in the cemeteries bad as the ones in town. all the pavement is coming out. They have graded down there. They've cut a third of one grade off, took the guy's leg off, I guess. And it needs to be straightened out. Those roads need to be straightened out, and the ones that are paved need to be repaved. Yes, ma'am.
Just forgive me because I don't know, so I'm asking a lot of questions. The roads that are in the cemetery, they've got like street signs on them. So I'm assuming that those are the responsibility of the city to maintain. Is that correct?
No.
It's not correct. The roads inside the cemetery are not the city is not responsible for those. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I think they are.
Are the roads inside the cemetery?
Yes, they should be.
Where's the cemetery people? The city is responsible. That is a city cemetery, and they're supposed to be keeping it up.
The roads.
So, right, we are supposed to.
Yes, they're supposed to be keeping everything up. Sanitation, all that. They go down and pick up garbage. That's sanitation. The same guys who do the city.
So that's why I'm asking if the roads are the city's responsibility, they should repair them. If they're not, then that becomes a fundraising issue for us.
Right. You said it becomes a fundraising. In the past, the city has always been responsible for the roads as far as grading, and that's one of the issues on the dirt roads, like on C and B, when they cut back up into the old cemetery. Because of the rainwater that has occurred in the erosion from the snow runoff, it has gutted some of those roads, and they need to be straightened out. That's a lot of the issue. And there is some asphalt issue, but the dirt roads are the main problems right now. They're hard to traverse.
They really are.
So they all need to be paved with asphalt, including dirt, everything. Right. Because the asphalt ones are in chunks now. They're not even asphalt anymore.
No, they're holy.
We need to have it, the whole thing done.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
You guys are going to hate my guts by the end of this meeting.
Yeah.
So Linda is exactly right. If those roads are the city's responsibility, and there are some that are not paved versus some that are, do we write a request? Do we put in a work order to have the ones that are not paved, and the ones that are already paved repaired? I mean, you see where I'm going with all of this?
Yeah.
Like trail. On March, 14th, we requested in writing that the trash be picked up more frequently, whatever. The weeds be cut, the roads be, resurfaced, the dirt roads from here to here be, concreted or asphalted or whatever. So is that the normal process we would go through to get that stuff done?
Well,
let me answer that. The trash is picked up because the cemetery actually pays trash service, just like if it was a business. The roads itself, I don't have a problem going in and grading. That's not a significant cost. We can do that. Now, when you're talking about paving, you're right in that the city it's a city-owned cemetery, and they're responsible for maintaining that. But it's not the streets department; it's the cemetery's responsibility. So they would have to actually fund it.
Like a fundraiser?
Say that again, please.
We can request it in our budget, we suppose, but we cannot use the streets and infrastructure money for the cemetery.
Right.
You cannot use it.
how about
Yeah. So it'd be like we'd have to either have it budgeted in the cemetery or do like a fundraiser. Is that what you're saying? Like adopt a street?
Yes. Yes.
So,
we could do something like that. Somehow or another, if it was funded, we could do that.
So I have a question for you. Is there any way you can provide us with cost per how it's measured? Cost per street, or is it square footage or whatever to pave the, Yeah.
Absolutely. And you'll see an example of that on Tuesday.
Okay.
Because you'll see what I can give you.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But if you can provide it to the other people, you know, because I see stuff they don't necessarily get to see, but then that kind of gives them an idea to move ahead with that. Yeah. So.
I will come up with a cost estimate.
What I'm hearing is the city will maintain like grading and that sort of thing, but they will not create.
We'll lock it up in a minute.
Streets. Is that what you heard, Linda?
Yes, well, I can't purchase asphalt from the street budget for the cemetery. So essentially,
Yeah, it's a different
we have
one.
a budget in the cemetery to purchase the asphalt we pay for.
So this isn't going
So do we have to look for our own asphalt company or what?
No,
No.
we'll take care of that. So it's just a matter of having to,
Right?
And we do have to get our own supplies, in other words.
Money.
asphalt. That's all we need. Is
Asphalt.
if we can
Yeah.
come up with the
That's right.
Right.
asphalt, we can do an overlay project on it.
So can I ask a quick question, Lisa, can we get the asphalt donated?
If K&G has donated to the Bisbee 1000 and Bogey.
Oh,
So yeah.
Oh,
cool.
K&G.
Go ahead. Lisa, let's talk.
So,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, is it possible if we come up with the money and it fits within the cost that you provide us, that we just basically would pay the city X amount of dollars, you'd get the asphalt, you'd provide the labor, you'd do the project. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yes.
So can I ask a quick question, Jesus? If we got the asphalt donated, then would we just have to pay labor?
Yes, we could do that. I don't see that a problem. You wouldn't have to pay the city labor costs for our staff to do that.
Oh,
We could do that. Those are fairly simple roads for us to do. It wouldn't take us long.
okay. Linda, why don't you go ahead and take over? My mom had to go shut the cemetery down.
Oh, go figure. I would, but I didn't print off the agenda.
It's
You
okay.
want-
I only printed off
That
the,
was
That was pretty much it, other than members' comments and then staff comments.
here's a member's comment.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lisa.
That's fine. So how do we get items put on our next regular meeting agenda? Can we do that now?
Our meeting or the or the
Always.
Yeah,
Hours.
cemetery. Yeah. Yeah, you can do it now, and then they can be sent to Lorena.
Okay. So at the next, our next meeting that we have, when is our next meeting, by the way?
It's like next month. No, what'd she tell me? It's April or May? Oh, go ahead, Jesus.
May 6th.
May 5th.
Yeah, unless you call a meeting.
Okay. So I could do that if we wanted to.
Right.
So at the next meeting or prior to that, I'd like to talk a little bit about the creation of our website with a virtual tour, virtual like gift or swag shop attached to it with the monies that were generated go right back into the cemetery. And include in that website the tree donations or tree adoption.
Yeah.
Adopt a tree or adopt a curb or adopt a road or whatever.
All right. Lisa, tell Jesus about the other part of that. Not just the adopt a tree, but the adopt a repair.
Okay. So put your creative mind in gear, Jesus. So this website piece that we're all thinking about, we're thinking about creating a virtual tour, where people can click on a grade and hear about
You're mute, Lisa.
You're mute.
You're muted.
I'm not muted as well.
Oh no, you just went.
Oh.
No, just explain
No.
the repair part. Don't go into detail about the other stuff. Just tell him about the repair.
So what we're thinking is, like, if you adopt a curb or a repair of a piece of street or something, it's basically you could go onto the website, you could select adopt a grade or adopt a curb, and donate monies for the specific repair of a particular space or the planting of a particular tree. And it's really designed to get people to virtually support a cemetery or a space with their money. I mean, and so it's basically a virtual adoption program of a space so that they could donate for the repair of the curbing of a particular area in the cemetery. Does that make sense?
Sure.
It would be kind of like the library, you know, Friends of the Copper Queen Library. We could have Friends of the Evergreen Cemetery. You know, they could dump money in it.
I have a statement to make too. Apparently on Facebook, somebody stated that there's a gentleman at the Sierra Vista Farmers Market trying to sell Bisbee headstones.
I saw that.
So I'm going out Saturday. Detective.
Go, Angela.
I'm gonna go see if he's out there and find out what's up. Because we have had problems in the past of people stealing stuff from the cemetery. And if he is in possession of, I'm going to report it. So yeah. I just wanted to let you guys know.
Douglas has lost a couple of saints or something off of theirs.
Right.
Well, that kind of desecration needs to be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. And absolutely needs to be turned into the police department if we have proof that somebody has created a grave, stolen something from it, is trying to capitalize and profit from those things. Right. Absolutely, we should have a hard line on that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And we'd like to open it, do a website. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I have a comment.
Okay.
I was talking with Teresa Coleman today. She forwarded me an email where a resident from Bisbee, he's a new resident because they moved in last year, and he has an interest in volunteering in order to preserve, is what he said, preserve and clean headstones, weeds, etc., etc. So I sent him a volunteer form, and so we'll wait till we hear back from him.
Great. Cool.
Yoo-hoo! I think we're going to move.
Yeah. So if you think any other items, just send them to, I guess, Lorena.
One more question, though.
No.
One question. So does the city have an exercise initiative or a community health initiative or anything like that?
Anything else?
A what?
Like a community health promotion or health initiative. Do you have anything like that in the city?
Oh.
I don't know.
What for?
What do you mean?
What particular? Yeah. What do you mean particularly?
Like at a clinic?
No. Like an exercise, encouraging people to exercise and those kinds of things. Do you have anything like that?
No, we're just taking care of the cemetery part. If they don't exercise, we can't help it if they end up with us.
Okay, we can talk about that at the next meeting. You know what's going on, right? I'm thinking about it.
I think that's it on the agenda.
You're going to have to clean this up, Jesus.
Good luck, Jesus.
Sorry.
Well, I'll go ahead and adjourn this. I'll end it right now, and I'll adjourn it for 6:25. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
girls.
See ya. Bye.